I live it, so I know it. That's why I talk about it, because I know what the future can bring. I've been living it for a lot of years, so I know what's the future can be like with it. And it's amazing that we are this in Trinidad and Tobago, we are this throwing away facilities or even closing facilities that can actually help our country and our future generation. Because without our future generation, if we don't pave the road for them, then we are left with absolutely the country is left with absolutely nothing. So whereas we are giving away every valuable assets that we have, right, and leaving nothing for our future generation. And in the next 15 to 20 years, there's no government, there's no energy minister, and there's no government ministry that has a 20 years or a 10 years plan. Everybody who has a plan has a Vike plan, a day for tomorrow, or only for 5 years. And even though they have a plan, it don't even get actually started. They are running around to get investors in Trinidad and Tobago, and you don't even have foreign exchange in Trinidad and Tobago. How can you bring investors in Trinidad and Tobago without having foreign exchange in the country? So if somebody put $100 million or $100 billion US dollars into your country, how is it going to get back that? How is it going to get back that? Is that how it's going to work? Because right now, as we speak, if you have a child studying abroad and you go in the bank for 200 US, that's the maximum you can get. If you say you want 1,000 US, you can't get that. They ask you a million questions and only give you 200. They say that's the maximum you can get. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe it's not true, but you can try. You can go to the bank and you can see. In any case, I'm not here to talk about the bank. I'm here to talk about the energy sector. I'm also here to talk about reshaping Trinidad and Tobago and making it better than what it is. Because we don't need that dumping or that landfill on the Beta. That's prime land. We don't need the port in Port of Spain. That's prime land. All the way from Chagaramas all the way to Port of Spain is prime land. Seafront. And when I say seafront, then beach views and sea views and all these things is because they are prime land and they can be used towards generating income to the country and for the country. And the country can do it, but they don't have the mentality of doing it. And there are too much sticky fingers in the government. So whereas we're supposed to build a stadium, whereas we're supposed to build 5 stadiums in Trinidad, we build 1 stadium, the Brian Lara Stadium. And the cost of that Brian Lara Stadium is the cost of 5 stadiums that we could have built. And we could have had World Cup cricket in our country. But no, we only build 1 stadium. Because you know why? Because everybody has to get money off of that. Right? So they have to steal half of the money or 3/4 of the money and use 1/4 of it. Same as everything else in the country. Hello again and welcome to session 3. We are in point Fortin. So let us look at point Fortin, Palaseco, Labre, Union Village. Okay, so let's look at point Fortin. So point Fortin, as we know, has the LNG facilities. That's probably the only thing that is being used now. So it's not really being, this is where the LNG facility is. So it's more or less very small places being used. This is what it looks like from satellite view. There's not much being dealt with or done in the area for work wise. There's not much work. The old refinery is completely it looks like this from satellite, so I'm sure a lot of people know how it looks like, by passing close to it. So anyway, So this session three is about Point Fortin. Right, now you can see some small thing, right? H2, right? And it's all over, right? So after Point Petrotrin, as I discussed in session 1, and after Point Lisas in session 2, those two plays, Point Lisas and Point Apia Petrotrin, is going to generate money. That money that is going to be generated, some of that money should be invested in Point Fortin. Why Point Fortin, you must say? Because Point Fortin, which has the LNG close by, we can bring the hydrogen plant here. When I say hydrogen plant, I mean we can invest into hydrogen storage. Not a plant, but storage, right? So this is the future we are investing in here, right? So if we start developing in the area, develop the area for hydrogen tanks, right? And to store hydrogen in a big way in this hemisphere, then we are going to, the same customers that we have using our other facilities is the same customers who are going to be interested in this area also, and this will benefit them, right? So all the projects go hand in hand. This is why I'm talking about the energy transition, right? So you have Point Apia, which is going to develop into storage. You have Point Lisas, chemical storage, and then you have Point Fortin, hydrogen storage, right? So these things, all three, will keep our country moving for the next 25, 35 years, right? I see this, but I don't know if everybody sees this the same way that I see this, right? If we are to develop this now, there's not another year or another month or another 6 years to go before we start this. We have to start this now, and we have to start nailing each aspect of this now, right? Because if we don't, we are going to lose out, and we are going to lose out massively. Now, why Point Fortin, right? Is because we need to build some infrastructure on Point Fortin, because we already have half of the infrastructure done already, which is Atlantic LNG. It's already there. The jetty facilities is there. All we have to do is develop the area into a tank farm and into storage for hydrogen. That's all we have to do, right? And the money, the profit that we are making from Petrotrin, and the money and the profit that we're making in Point Lisas, this is need to generate with that money. So you don't have to dip your hand in your pocket. The profits from those other two projects is going to help this project. That's how it goes, right? That is how it goes. So the energy money stays in energy, right? The energy ministry have to keep moving with different projects, and these projects has to be keep moving every single term a new government comes in. They cannot hold back these projects, right? And I can tell you how we can get the hands of the government out of these projects. In a session, I'll give you a session with that. We need to form a trust that the government cannot interfere with these projects. So once you start this project and you develop this project into a 25 years project, the government cannot stop it. Doesn't matter who changed on the board, it has to keep going. Okay, so this is Point Fortin, right? Point Fortin is going to be the future. That's the future storage and future product storage, right? So thank you very much for listening to session 1, 2, and 3, the energy, right? And thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye.